Hello everyone, welcome to Tyler with the K. This is actually our very first video that we're filming and releasing in 2024, so that's pretty cool. I also would like to note that I'm procrastinating once again. Starting the year off right. I am releasing this on January 5th and I am filming / editing this on January 4th. One day apart. But anyway, I hope it won't be that much work, or at least it'll be fun to do, because I'm talking about my very favorite books of 2023. This is a video I always love filming at the end of the year. I get to sit down and talk about my year in terms of reading, in terms of my favorites. I'll also probably be making a video where I talk about every single book that I read in 2023 as well, but that's a separate video. Today we're only talking about the favorites. We have 10. So in this video, I will not be ranking in terms of my most favorite to like my most favorite or something like that. However, the order of these books are chronologically when I finish them, I'm pretty sure. Although the first book on this list I read twice in the same year, which I think is like a first for me. So I read it for the first time, I think it was sometime in March, and then I read it again in October, but it's first on the list because of me reading it in March first. I hope that's not too complicated, but let's get started. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have a whole entire video playlist on this, so I won't be talking about it too much, but this is just a really great book. I know everyone likes it, and I am not different. I am part of the everyone now. I just love music. I'm a musician, so that definitely pulled me in right from the start. It takes place in not Hollywood, I guess, like LA, and it's just like about rock and roll. I don't listen to rock and roll, but I like reading about it, apparently. I'm sure everyone knows by now, but there's also a TV show which I watched and I made multiple videos for as well. So there's lots of Daisy Jones and the Six content for you to enjoy already on this channel, so be sure to give it a look-see. This takes the format of an interview, which is pretty cool and definitely different than every single book I think I've read up to this point. That definitely drew me in. It made me read it in 2 days. And fun fact, I've read every single Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I've read in less than 3 days. Another book by Taylor Jenkins Reid will be on this list, so keep watching, I guess. What I did to prepare for this video was make 3 bullet points for each book, and I just wrote music, fast, TV show for Daisy Jones and the Six. So I guess I'm done. Be sure to look at that playlist again, because I talk more. I talk more about this book in other places. I just don't want to repeat myself. Then we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, the first book. Keep that in mind. I also have a playlist for this. That's really funny. It is the first in a series, which we've probably all heard of. You may have had a resurgence, or maybe, if in my case, your first exposure to it because of the new movie Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which came out late 2023. I also made a video about that. It's all in my Hunger Games playlist, I promise. But yeah, this book is so good. It's like the original dystopian book. I had wanted to read it for a very long time. My sister got a copy. I asked if I could read it, and I did just that. I also really like the movie. In my opinion, I know this is not a not popular opinion, but I feel the series kind of declines as it goes on. That may be attributed to my perspective on life, mindset. While reading it, maybe I was feeling the best mentally while I was reading this book, and it just went downhill from there, which included my perception of these books. But yeah, no but. That's just something to consider, because I'm sure that may be kind of the case. But yeah, this book is just, it's so good. Nothing else to it. Well, obviously there's something else to it. I'm saying I don't have that much more to say, besides it's good. Although something I'm thinking of is also how it talks about spectacle and like how much people just need to be entertained too. It's like, it's definitely, I'm guessing it's an allegory for something. I can't figure it out, but it probably is. Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Look at this book. It's so big, and that's one of the reasons why this is on my list. I was able to read this book in a pretty short amount of time. Actually, that's a lie. It took me a while. I got the audiobook on Libby, and I read the book while listening to the audiobook. And once the audiobook returned to Libby, I stopped reading the book. But once I got it back, I continued reading the book. And I was just as interested. And that is definitely not something that happens a lot. So that's a feat within itself. It also kind of reintroduced me to series in general, because I don't read that many book series. Give me a second. And honestly, I feel like this book got me more excited to continue the series than the Hunger Games book got me excited to continue the series. Also has to do with superheroes. If you knew Kyler when he was younger, you would know he loves superheroes. I still do, kind of, although I kind of haven't watched like some Marvel movies that have been being released recently, so maybe not. Maybe I don't like superheroes anymore, but I did. And this book is about them. And I've read the second book, which is Arch Enemies. That was really good too. I have Supernova right there, and that I'm planning on reading that really early on in 2024. It's on my list of the first 10 books I want finished in 2024. Maybe I should make a video about that. Maybe I should. I think that's a good idea. That's a really good idea, actually. Anyway, yeah, it's just so good. The characters are so cool. It kind of gives me vibes of a duology that I read, I think it was 2 years ago, called the Monsters of Verity series by V.E. Schwab. Basically, these two words, this book series and that book series have two main characters, one boy and one girl, from like opposite sides of some kind of war thing that's going on, and both of them are just really, really good. So yeah. Oh, and both of them have the girl like kind of infiltrating into the boy's space. I don't want to spoil that much. It's not really a spoiler, but spoiler. But yeah, it's just really good, and I'm really excited to finish the series. Marissa Meyer's also an author that I've wanted to get into. So yeah. I hope to read her other books as well, because this is just so good, and so is Arch Enemies. And yeah, I've wanted to read it for a while as well, so it did not disappoint, which is always so cool, and that does happen. Similar to Renegades, I don't have a physical copy of this book, but this book, the next book in the list of the top 10 books, you know what I'm trying to say, that I read in 2023 is Another Country by James Baldwin. I'm saying it's similar to Renegades because it took me a while to read as well. I had it on Libby. I actually had like the ebook version of it, so I was reading it entirely online, and once it returned I wasn't able to read it, and then when I got it back I just continued reading it. It's just so good. It talks about race in like a candid way that I haven't really seen anywhere else. James Baldwin, he's such a great author. I also read another book of his this year called, what's it called? If Beale Street Could Talk. I wouldn't say that I liked that book as much as Another Country, but it still was good, and I hope to potentially make a video comparing, or at least just watching the movie, which is I think on Netflix or Amazon right now. It doesn't really have that much of a plot either, which is definitely not something I usually gravitate towards, but I was just invested into the characters, so I didn't mind, I guess. Sorry, I just hit the notebook with the tripod, that's why I shook a little. But yeah, so many quotes. So many quotes, so many great quotes. And yeah. Next book I also don't have a copy of. This is called which is called, did I say the author of all these? I think I did. Okay, sorry. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I'm pretty sure that's the author. I listened to the audiobook, and I think this is the only book that I only listened to the audiobook for. Right? Yes, that is true. It may be actually my favorite audiobook I've ever read. Just the way the audiobook reader puts emotion into each character. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen, and that's a big reason of why I like this book so much. Or I guess anything I've ever heard, technically. I finished this in like 2 days. It's also a book that deals with race. The main character is, I can't even remember her name, which is not good, but she's like, it takes place in current day. I want to say New York, but it may not be New York. And I don't know. It was just very interesting, and it was like a time sucker. I just really enjoyed being immersed into the world. They're like very interesting characters. People do things that don't necessarily make sense. And also something that has never really happened. I didn't really get the ending that I wanted from this book. That's probably not true. That probably has happened, but this is like one of the few times that I didn't mind that I didn't get the ending I hoped for. It just kind of ends, and there isn't really a resolution necessarily, which was definitely kind of a bummer when I initially had ended it, but as I have thought about it, that's how life is. Not everything has a happy ending or a bad ending. Some things just end, you know, and I really appreciated about that. I appreciated that about this book. We're on to the second Taylor Jenkins Reid book, Malibu Rising. Yeah, I also have a video about this. Would you like to see it? Maybe, but I'm not going to link it. You'll have to find it yourself, I guess, because I just don't want to link it, because I think I'd rather link something else. Took me a short time to read as well. It took me, I think, 2 days. I listened to the audiobook while reading the book. This takes place in 1 day, and that is one of the things I remembered when thinking about my favorite books. And I realized I don't know so much about these characters, and it's all in the span of 1 day. I guess there are like flashbacks and stuff, so it's not necessarily like 1 day, but the present, like, so yeah, there are different like time periods. One is in the past, one is like the present, and the present day only takes place in the span of a day, and it's just so cool. All these characters are so not near and dear to my heart, because none of them are like perfect. And I shouldn't say, I'm not trying to say that I'm only characters that are perfect are the only ones near and dear to my heart, but I just feel like I know all of them and they're real people, which is cool. I know a character in this also had her own book, or has her own book, called Carrie Soto's Back, and that is the next Taylor Jenkins Reid book I hope to get. I guess I've kind of started this transition, that's not the word I'm looking for, tradition, where I just wait for the audiobook on Libby, and then once I get the audiobook, I get the actual book and I read along, and I finish it in like 2 days or something. So I'm gonna have to wait for that to read Carrie Soto's Back. But yeah, it's also really sad. It is way sadder than I thought it would be, and that was something I hadn't seen as much in Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. But yeah, I guess that set it apart as well. Okay, next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Yes, the very same V.E. Schwab that I mentioned, who wrote the Monsters of Verity series, which I compared to Renegades. If you remember, this is also a book that I had wanted to read for a pretty long time. Again, my sister has the book, and I asked her to read it, and she said yes. So I read it. It's really good. I have a video about it, which I will be linking. It took me a while as well, but I stuck with it, and I guess that seemed kind of like a trend. If I still end up liking a book, even though it takes me a long time, and I may like take pauses, that just means it's a great book. It's about this girl named Addie LaRue, and she cannot catch a break, as in she cannot die. Okay, that's all I'll say about that one. That's probably interesting to you. That's a good blurb of it. It also gave me lots of vibes of like a fairy tale, like I had heard it before. Just I don't know, like the plot structure, like the plot points or something. I don't know. It just, for some reason, it felt nostalgic in a sense, which is cool and rare in books that I read. But trigger warning for a love story. I should mention that. Okay. Next book is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is also a book that I've wanted to read for a couple years. I know it's not old. I think it was like 2021. It is by an actress that used to be on iCarly, and she played a person named Sam. She also had her spin-off called Sam and Cat. I should say that she's from Sam and Cat, I feel like. And yeah, it just talks about her relationship with her mom primarily, but also like her getting her start in, I guess, Hollywood. I guess it's considered Hollywood, like being a child actor. She didn't even want to become an actor. It's because her mom wanted her to. But yeah, I really like the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook originally. I started the audiobook and then I got the book. But yeah, it just flew by. It's just good, short chapters, which I will always appreciate. And yeah, we just like really got into her head. And it's just really cool for her to be able to do that. And I hope she goes into fiction writing one of these days, because I think she'd be a good like fiction writer as well. What other notes do I have? Yeah, the conclusion as well isn't like happy, really. I won't spoil it, but like, yeah, the last, it may be just the epilogue. It just really, after I finished it, I was like, wow. Like, I sat with it for a few seconds, because like, wow. Okay, almost done. Leave the World Behind by, I'm sorry, I know it's like Ruman Alam, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to say the wrong name, so I'm going to search it up. Before I keep going, I do have a video about this. I don't recommend you watching because I don't like it that much. Because I barely remember filming or editing it. Ruman Alam, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But I read this book primarily because, this is why I don't really remember filming it, because I filmed it in one take and I didn't edit it. So I only experienced the video, I guess, when filming it. I didn't edit it at all. I just put it on YouTube immediately after filming it. So that's probably why I don't remember as much. The best word I could use to describe Leave the World Behind would probably be trippy. Because things are happening and we don't get an explanation for most of those things. We just follow this, or I guess these two families in a house. Small cast, small like setting. Why I said cast is because there's actually a movie on Netflix. So you can check that out if you'd like. And I also talked about the movie in that video for Leave the World Behind. But yeah, it's good. And I can't stop thinking about it, and it has one of the best closing sentences I've ever heard. I still think about it from time to time. Although I literally finished the book in like December, so it hasn't been that long, but still, it's stuck with me. Just the concepts, the quotes, and the characters. That's what I wrote for the the different notes. But yeah, I agree with it. It's third person, but somehow I'm able to be in every single person's head. It like switches perspectives seamlessly. Like I just understand everyone, what everyone's thinking at any given time, and that is a feat. That is a feat. Yeah, it's not that easy to do. All right, the final book that I read, which is also the final book that I read in 2023. Sorry, my last favorite book that I read, which is also the last book that I read in 2023, is Hella Beautiful by Ann Napolitano. That author may sound familiar because she wrote the book that the Apple TV show is based on, Dear Edward. I enjoyed Dear Edward. At some point it was actually one of my favorite books, and then I read it again and then I realized it wasn't. This book is just so much better than that book. I guess this book is also like adults, well, young, I don't know, I was about to say young Edward. Dear Edward is probably more like middle grade, kind of young adult. It's so good, and like from the very first chapter, from the very first few sentences, I was just sucked into the world of these characters. They all feel like real people, and I understand all of them, and all of them are like fully fleshed out. It's just really, really good. It's messy. It's like a family saga, which is also something I don't really gravitate towards either. Really, really good, and the cover is also really pretty. I like that painting as well. It released, I think, in 2023, so it's a pretty new book, and people have liked it too, so that validates my opinions as well. If you don't trust me, trust everyone else. This is also a book that I read on audiobook originally, and then it returned to library, but somehow I was still able to finish it in 2023, although it returned to library on December 24th or something, and at that time I was like maybe 50% or 60% through it, and I was so entranced, I just kept reading and reading and reading until I finished it, and it's so good. So yeah, those are my very favorite books of 2023, and although I should have done this earlier, now we're going to talk about my honorable mentions. We have 5 honorable mentions. 5 honorable mentions. I won't be going into as much why I like these so much, but maybe I will. We'll see. Time will tell. First, I don't think this is in any order. It may be chronologically again. Don't quote me on that. First, we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. You must kind of see a trend. She writes really good books. I just feel like why this didn't go on my favorite list is because I like Daisy Jones and the Six so much, and this was the book I read after it by the same author, and it just wasn't as interesting to me. It focuses more on Hollywood than, I guess, the music world, and I am more interested in music than Hollywood, apparently, at least in books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read it in a short time as well, but yeah, I don't know. The story didn't attract me as well. There is a Netflix adaptation coming, so you know I'm going to be making a video about that. And I also have a video about Seven Husbands, so check it out if you like. It seems like every single video on this I have a video for it. Okay, Then we have The Bridge by Bill Konigsberg. This was another nominee this year, and it's also a book that I remember because it's like unlike any book that I've ever read. I don't really want to spoil, but it starts on a bridge with two people, both planning on jumping, so definitely trigger warning for suicide in this book. I don't want to say anything else because I think you just need to experience this for yourself. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book ever. I wouldn't say that I like everything that happens. I wouldn't say that I remember everything that happened for sure. But I feel like I'll remember this book too. I know those are contradicting statements. Moving right along. Finding Me by Viola Davis. This is also a book that I want to read for a while. I listened to the audiobook while reading the physical book, and it's just so good. Viola Davis, I've seen a few projects of hers, not even that much, but I just really think she's such a great actress, and she's cool. She's also pretty cool. Follow her on Instagram, actually. So, you know, that means something. That means something. Speaking of Instagram, be sure to follow mine. I hope to this year post more often, and I think something that'll help with that is more people following, or vice versa. Hopefully, once I post things, people will follow after they watch said things. I also have a TikTok page if you'd like. So yeah, it's just cool to hear her story, hear how her upbringing, and it truly proves that where you come from does not define you. Because, like, her life was rough. Her upbringing was rough. But she still conquered it, and she's literally an EGOT winner. So, that it's a very... I think it's a book that I will come back to when I need some kind of motivation. If that doesn't... That may not necessarily mean, like, actually reading the pages, but just thinking of that book, thinking of what she went through to get... One could argue, in order to get where she is, it's very inspiring. Next we have Sway by Ori and Ram Brofman. This is also a book that I barely remember, honestly, which is funny because it's on my honorable mentions, but I read this in like 2 days. I listened to the audiobook only, which is kind of rare for me. Let me search it up and find like the subtitle because I think it's important. Sway, I can read. I have a reading channel. This is the book channel. The Irresistible Pull of Irrational Behavior. And that, by that title alone, it should kind of be interesting. It sounded interesting to me, at least. And it just talks about what makes us do things that don't make sense. It was just really interesting. It's, I guess, kind of a nonfiction book. And that's the only nonfiction book on this list, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. But I can't remember it. Then Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I don't know if I have a video for this. I know I started one, but I also remember filming a clip saying that I'm not sure I want to make a video for it, or the video's gonna end up looking different, because like it's a sensitive topic, and I feel like I'm kind of exploiting. I don't have a video. I guess I deleted it, or just never released it, because I felt weird. That's good. I'm kind of proud of myself for doing that, honestly. Although it's not about me, it's about Chanel Miller, and you should know her name. This is the person that was raped, sexually assaulted on the Stanford campus behind a dumpster. She's a really good writer. It's very narratively based, or it seems narratively based, and I found myself kind of forgetting once in a while that this was actually like something that happened, because it was just so like it sounded like a story more like real life, although like real lives are stories, I guess. I'm making the story of my life. I should close my laptop again because it's making that really annoying sound. But yeah, it's good. I do like it, and I think it's, one could argue, required reading, because, yeah. There's a clip of her when she's on the Trevor Noah show, which I screen recorded and liked, I think, on my phone. Should I play now, or maybe I'll make a TikTok, or maybe I'll put it on Instagram, or none of the above? Yeah, I'll just insert it here, I guess.
How long did it take you to move from a place in your life where you were only thinking about the pain to then moving to a place where you're like, no, I'm going to turn this into my triumph, and I'm going to turn this into a rallying cry?
Well, one post-it note I had next to my desk as I was writing just said, feel what I felt. And it was very important for me to just acknowledge every feeling I had experienced, to not tuck any of them away and to lay it out on the page. And it's funny because I worked so hard to get on the paper exactly what I was feeling inside.
Right.
And as soon as that aligned, it would click and I would move on and I wouldn't think much about it. But when I was on Oprah, she picked up the book, and as she was reading passages to me, I was listening and I was like, damn, like, that's really good.
Yeah, that's what Oprah does. She'll read your book to you, and then you're like, I need to buy my book.
You're like, I know, I'm a genius.
Right.
Yeah, I like that clip. But it's just a really good book, and I think you should read it. And those are all of the books, my honorable mentions, as well as my favorite top 10 books of 2023. Thank you for this year. Because I was looking, and apparently January 4, 2023 was the date, as in today, a year ago today, was the day that I got 100 subscribers. And right now we are 419. That means we've added 319 followers in 365 days, which is a pretty cool thing. And it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much. I have high hopes for this year in terms of myself, emotionally, physically, mentally, or whatever, but also channelly, as in related to this channel. Be on the lookout for sure. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and share. And I will see you later. Maybe I should start talking about the next video at the end of the video that's going to be released. I'm not sure yet. I have a video about Daisy Jones to the Six, which I filmed with my sister, and I wanted to release that around the time that the Emmys were. I'm not sure the exact day of the Emmys, but I'm pretty sure it is in January. I also, during this video, had the idea for like the first 10 books I wanted to read in 2024. I think that would be a cool video too. So those are like two kind of ideas I'm having right now. But I do have some videos I'm just like in the midst of editing. So if I finish editing those videos in time for next week, that video may be the one that's out. You'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, no buts. You'll just have to wait and see. And I will too, because I'm in the same boat as you, kind of. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Okay, see you later. Bye.